guys. Good evening. Here in Rio again, Sunday. Welcome to the channel, Jonas Castali. Yesterday I shot a video with this new series, funny stories. I shot one in Portuguese, my native language, and tonight I'm gonna shoot the same theme, but in English. So that's the way I'm always doing my videos. Always here most of the time in my swiveling red chair, where I have my little scenario set up. Right, so I'm starting off with the first theme that was yesterday, something that happened to me a few years ago, and I'm gonna tell you some stories, not chronologically, some more recent, all the stories a little bit further away in the past. But yeah, I'm really enjoying having fun. That's the purpose of my channel. Bring some content, important, relevant issues, entertainment, but sometimes just curious or peculiar stuff or funny stories, like the one I'm gonna tell you guys tonight. For instance, funny stories. Something that happened to me. Obviously, since I was the main character involved in that event, I can tell now and I can laugh about it, but boy, when I was going through it, it was not that funny at all. It was close and tragic. So, the first one that I want to tell you guys about is this one, which I found entitled Suitable. Do not ever make fun of little nuns. And why I say that? Well, let me be here relaxed so that I can start the narrative. Well, it happens not 3 or 4 years ago, some time ago. Yeah, 3 to 4 or something like that. When I used to work in Ipanema, me and my business associate and great friend Gerald Bueno, who's a retired lawyer and also work as an immigration lawyer in Canada. So what happened was that sometimes on Friday we used to go to a bar close by where we had this cafe. It was called Café des Amis, and there's a bar from this guy. It's called André, which stands for Andrew in English, and we call him André the Swiss, well, the Swiss guy. And there you have like live music, a guy either on a keyboard or playing or strumming his guitar. Some nice music, some Brazilian caipirinha or beer, and some side dishes to go with it. And that's what happened. I can't remember exactly the date, but I suppose it was on a Saturday, as far as I can remember. So yeah, around 5:30 or 6, we left the cafe. The manager was there with the other employees, and me and Jerry just went out to relax a little bit and watch the show there, live show. And what happened, that it was cold, rainy that day, but we had lots of fun. Just chatting there and have some great time listening to some good music. But man, when you're sitting and then, they keep on bringing more and more booze. In my case, beer. These mugs of beers. And man, we just go on talking and, so I guess I spent 2 hours there, just listening to good music, as I said, and just, drinking my beer. And man, I remember that it was around 8 when I decided to leave. And I tell you, I was as high as a kite, really. I was intoxicated. I couldn't. I mean, it's amazing how drunk people can't really find their way back home. It's just like a mug. They sniff away to make back to their cave. And yeah, thank goodness nowadays I'm in a better shape. I still drink, but definitely much more moderately. But I was really going in for some, back then. And then I decided to leave, said goodbye to everyone, and a little bit, shuffle my feet, a little wobbly, I'd say, but I could make to the first bus station where I would get this bus to Central Station, where I get this bus, which is like a tourism bus, nicely comfy with air conditioning, that would drop me off right very close by to my place. And yeah, let me tell you guys how the whole thing unfolded. What happened that night. I was a little, drunk, but I can't really remember. It's impossible to forget. And it has to do with the theme. Do not ever make fun of little nuns, because it happened to me. So I guess it took when I got in the bus, and it took me, I don't know, 30 minutes or 40 or something like that to get to the Central Station, Central do Brasil Station. And when I got off the bus, still a little intoxicated. It was windy, and wind was blowing, a gale, and rainy. Man, I was soaking wet, literally. And I was a little already pissed. I was really shivering because I was like soaking wet. And then what happens is I witness this. There's something is happening right there on the first station where the bus got me off. Man, I saw 4 or 5 nuns. They were in their robes, all in white with that cover on their heads. And what seemed to me was like they were doing some exorcism, some, laying their hands and calling out some names of some saints. And they were doing some work with some homeless guy who was there. It seemed the gathering from the Bible. Boy, he was not alone. He probably was, And man, I thought that so unusual, but I should have kept my mouth shut. That would be the right thing to do. Meaning, I was already in kind of misery, shivering cold, and then, yeah, I couldn't resist that scene of the exorcism, and I raised my arms like that, and I said, yeah, that's all we need. That's all we need. Look, miserable weather, everything is happening here, and this nuns trying to expel a demon from
Get out of this body!
And man, I kept staring for a while, but then I tried to ignore it, let them do their work, right? I just found it like, man. Anyways, I should have kept it to myself, not saying a word, at least not verbally. And then what happened is that I had to make a beeline and run to the first place where I could turn around and go inside and cross over Central do Brasil Station, where it's all covered. But man, that's when the story begins to, unfold. The interesting stuff. I mean, tragically, but interesting back then. I had to take a little sprint just to get there to this first place where I would turn around and walk into the Central Station. And man, it was windy and blowing, and I was still a little bit high of alcohol. And man, 30 seconds I said, yeah, now's about time for me to make a run for that place. And there were some, homeless folks. May God help each one of them. I'm sure they're not in that situation exactly because they chose to, or maybe some of them, well, we never know. But then I made it a beeline and a sprint.
Geronimo!
Like a coyote, like a road runner. I went like I sped up. But then it didn't take long. I slipped back as I was getting close to this cardboards, which is all settled there on the sidewalk, under this, on this concrete slabs, and man, I would fall backwards, but somehow I could manage to get my position right, and instead of falling backwards, I gave it a thrust with my right foot, and I went all the way forward like a Superman, man. I remember that vividly. I went all this way flying, and as I was flying over all these cardboards, I crashed into one of these cardboard homes that was fixed there. And as I entered all the way in, there was this huge guy with a pouch with a big belly and a big beard, sleeping, snoring there. Probably he was beyond Baghdad as far as drunk. And man, I remember we almost touched belly with belly and mouth with mouth. But when it rains, it pours. And boy, that was very literal when it happened there, in a way. Because this guy has got a potty filled with the foulest stench that I could possibly, the smell that was given off. And the potty was really filled with, pee, his urine, and he took a dump on that potty, and he was sitting there. And man, as I came in crashing down on him, my elbow here kind of hit the potty. It was a yellow potty. How could I ever forget? Filled with shit, literal shit. And man, when I did like that, the potty kind of turned on my arm here and on my legs. I had already bruised my elbow here, and I was wearing jeans, and I scratched a little bit of my knee. And man, everything happened so fast. And I tried to push it out, and he started mumbling some cursing words, which I'll never understand what he was trying to say. Anyway, he didn't wake up. He was really drunk, worse than me. So now I'm standing up, a little wobbly, in a miserable situation. I'm bleeding here in the elbow and my knee, and I'm covered with shit. Man, it was the worst stinking thing that was really impregnating my body. So I was desperate, almost like 10. And what would I do? So first things that I had to cross into Central Station. And man, I don't know how it feels to be looked down on with some prejudice. But boy, I felt it that day. Because some folks who were just walking back and forth, they would give some stare at me, like, who's this guy? It's like bleeding, stinking like a skunk, and miserable. And man, people were really kind of staring at me, shocked. Oh, what a weird dude. And then I made it to the other side, and before I go to this next station, I remember it. A light came out, something that I could do. I went to a local bar where a friend of mine used to work. He's a manager there, and another friend of mine, Vivian. And he was actually closing. That was amazing. He was just to pull down those rolling metal doors all the way down. He was with some bucket, throwing water on the floor and mopping it. And when I got there, man, I was like screaming, and his name is Renato, and I said, Renato, man, you gotta help me out. And he was like staring at me like static. What the heck, he was thinking, what happened to you? And I said, Renato, I don't really have that much time to explain it, man. I came from Ipanema, I drank a few cans of booze, and I slipped, and I fell into a guy's, a make-board home, and I hit his body with feces, with shit, and I mean, I'm all in disgrace. So I saw that he had soap there, washing powder, the stuff, and I said, "Now just give me this bucket." And I was like showering myself with some and trying to scrub it off all the shit here in my leg. But anyways, it was impregnated on my body, and I could not really do much about it. And I thanked Renato, and he was still like staring at me as if, what the heck? And then I had to take up summon up courage and go to the line. There were not that many people there, and that's why I think it was a Saturday night. It was all around 10 or something like that. And I went into the bus and I had to give my speech. Otherwise, they wouldn't let me in. They would think I would be some lunatic. And I explained the situation to the driver. Just told him, he made a detail what happened. That I had drank some beer. I needed to go home, and I fell inside the homeless guy's shit-filled potty, and I was stinking like hell, like a skunk. And then thankfully he understood it and said, okay, yeah, hop in. And man, you should see some folks, some people who were sitting, taking on their seats on the bus. They were staring at me like I'm a zombie or something. And the smell, it was really bad. I stunk really, really bad. It would give off from the clothes. And so I went to the very end of the aisle on the bus and sat there quietly. And then as the driver, starts the bus to just go, I kept on there, drenching, dripping wet, miserable, stinking like a skunk. And I remember every stop that the driver did that day to pick up some more folks, some more people, they would really be asking, they were chatting what's happening. Well, what kind of smell is there? What foul stench is there inside this bus? And everybody would be talking or just whispering to each other and pointing, oh, the guy back there. I don't know what kind of story they were telling each other, but boy, I could really know that I was the target. Anyways, man, then I made it fight home when I got off the bus. I thanked the driver. That was around 11 something. Close to midnight, probably. And I went on wobbly to try to make it home. And when I got home, I live in a second store. I live on the first and second floor. So my wife came downstairs, and when she opens the gate, man, she was ecstatic. She was like, she didn't know what happened. And I said to my wife, Elizabeth, I say, hey Beth, I just need a shower. I'll let you know what happened, okay? So I went upstairs very quickly. I had this swimming pool, plastic swimming pool, sit there, and I just ripped the whole thing off and took a dive in the pool. And my wife came up kind of looking at me, and I remember she used a broomstick to kind of collect my clothes, so stinky piece of garbage. And then that was what happened that night. So this is one of the stories true story that happened to me that I want to share with you guys. And anyways, that comes as a lesson. So next time you think of making fun of little nuns or whatever, think twice, boy, because you never know when you could be the next. So thank you if you guys have been watching and listening to this video this far. I appreciate that. Leave a comment if you want, subscribe to my channel, and give it a thumbs up if you liked it, okay? And I'll keep on bringing you guys this series of what's called funny stories, okay? Stuff that I can remember and tell you guys on my videos, okay? Thank you so much for you guys out there who watch through my videos, and hope to see you next video, okay? Take care. God bless you all.